Yeah, I have a question like specific for Tony. I was thinking about it yesterday. How did you like manage having Presley early on, and still managing like business? Like what kind of, emotions did you feel? Like what were some of the struggles? Like were you uncertain or have any like, confusion on like, okay, I'm getting ready to have my first child, my daughter, and then we're also running this business or like getting started in it. Like what made you like take action while still having the daughter? How'd you manage your emotions and like overcome that stuff?
So I did a terrible job.
Yeah.
I had a panic attack like maybe a week before because the AmeriCorps, I feel like I was starting to get tired of bureaucracy, rules, structure, that sort of thing. And that's what AmeriCorps was. It was a government service program. They had uniforms. You had to wear them to the trainings. And the trainings were just people talking. But they wanted you in full uniform with your work boots on, with your belt on, with your shirt tucked in. And then I was staying up late because I was meeting new people. And then if you like tried to sleep or anything like during the trainings, they'd like tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, go stand up at the back of the room. They didn't even let you sleep on the desk. Like you had to go stand up at the back of the room so that you wouldn't fall asleep. And then I was drinking a lot of coffee in order to make up for the lack of sleep, and I ended up on a very large antibiotic, and so my body was kind of in like a panic mode. And then anxiety-wise, I kept feeling like tightness in my throat and like a disconnect between who I was and where I was. Like I wasn't anywhere that was aligning with my values, and so I had a panic attack. I was laying down. I was like, my unit leader was talking about why he chose all of us. Like he was going through why he chose each one of us to lead the teams. And I was sitting there like with bronchitis and like a sinus infection. I could barely breathe out of my nose or my mouth. And like my throat was getting really tight. And I was like looking up at the corner of the room like, I was like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. So I laid down on the couch and they brought the EMS eventually, and they had me at like 120 beats per minute laying down. My like pinky and my ring finger went numb on both hands. And I was shaking and stuff. And they were like, hey bud, this is all in your mind. It's not. I was like, what? I thought I was dying or like having a seizure or something. They're like, no, it's you're just mentally, emotionally, you're just very stressed and you need to take it easy. So got with this girl that I was enjoying the company of. We went on a walk. There's like -3 degrees in Iowa. It just sucks. Like everything's flat, so there's nothing to block the wind. So we came back in after like 5 minutes, and the entire thing had a tunnel system too. So I just felt like claustrophobic and stuff. But then like 2 days later, my baby mama called me, and she was someone that I never intended to get pregnant. But then an older gentleman was like, oh, what? You don't know how that works? Like, as a joke. So, I had sex with my ex-girlfriend, and she told me that, like, there was no way it could have been anybody else, that it was definitely me, because she hadn't slept with anybody else. And so then I was in this government service program. I had to decide if I was going to come back home or not. And I talked to my dad, I talked to my mom, I talked to my ex. I was on the fence about just leaving the program. But then I knew that ultimately I didn't want to be with her. And I was like, I'm going to use this program as an opportunity to like learn how to take responsibility, be a father. And I really learned how to be a manager, how to be a supervisor. They called us a team leader. We weren't really leaders. We were managers, supervisors, getting great at paperwork, understanding how to like manage people's emotions and stuff, because it was 18 and 24-year-olds, and I wasn't even the oldest one. And I was the team leader, so I was managing people who were older than me. And during that experience, after I got back, and my daughter was born a month early, she had to go to Riley Children's Hospital because her lungs weren't working at all. I was just like, man, I don't even know if I want this child, which is like a tough thing to say as a dad now, because I wouldn't give it up for anything.
Right.
And at the time, I still didn't know what I wanted. I was like, maybe I'll go to California and do something with fitness. I was like, maybe I'll get out of Indiana. Maybe I'll go do something different with my life and that sort of thing. But after I got back from AmeriCorps, took some responsibility, started seeing my daughter regularly, I was like, I have to figure out how to provide for her and like pay child support and that sort of thing. So tried a lot of different jobs and learned a little bit of sales. I mean, I did car sales for a little bit. I wasn't great at it, but I like learned the principles behind of sales, learned some principles behind of marketing. That's where our bandit signs came from, was JD Byrider. I mean, they use bandit signs a lot. Nice. So started studying the science and strategy behind a winning, and then was very fortunate to have a friend like Dakota and got into real estate.